Bring me the real architect. The words echoed like a thunderclap inside the state-of-the-art boardroom of Hale and Caton Architects. Every head turned, every breath held. Lawrence Whitmore, tech magnate, billionaire investor, and the man behind the largest urban renewal project in Atlanta's recent history, had just made a demand that pierced through the polished air of executive composure. He stood at the head of the long table, a single black folder before him, eyes scanning the room with precision. "I've seen your presentations," he said, calm but biting. "I've heard your polished pitches, but one drawing, one raw, imperfect, hand-rendered sketch spoke more truth than any of your slides." He opened the folder and held up a page. The paper was slightly creased, the ink faded around the edges, a hand-drawn concept of a community space that breathed with emotion, life. "I want to speak to the person who made this." Sandra Holloway, CEO of the firm, stood immediately. "Yes, sir. That would be from our internal design team led by Mr. Gordon Price." Gordon rose with a rehearsed half-smile. "It was a team effort, but yes, that's under my supervision." Lawrence narrowed his eyes, unimpressed. "Are you telling me your team drew this? Because this wasn't drafted. It was felt." The room went still again. Then from the back of the room, a voice rang out, steady and unexpected. "That would be me, sir." Heads turned. Standing at the entrance, mop still in hand, was Maya Williams, the janitor. She wore her standard gray uniform, her hair tied up beneath a simple scarf, a key ring on her belt, and a quiet fire in her eyes. "You," Sandra's voice nearly cracked. "I drew it," Maya said again, stepping forward, every line. A few soft chuckles rippled around the room. Someone muttered, "This is ridiculous." Gordon's jaw clenched, but it was Lawrence who reacted most strongly. He slammed the folder shut, his voice rising like a sudden storm. "Who let her in here?" Everyone froze. "This is a confidential executive session," he barked, pointing directly at Maya. "Get her out now." Sandra snapped into motion. "Maya, you need to leave immediately." But Maya didn't flinch. She walked to the table, slow but firm, and placed a worn leather sketchbook beside the folder. "You said you wanted to meet the person who felt it. I felt it. I lived it. I designed it." Security had started to move, but Lawrence held up a hand, not to wave her off, but to pause them. His eyes, still angry, were now uncertain. He looked down at the sketchbook, flipped it open. Each page told a deeper story. Elevations of buildings inspired by Southern porch culture. Rooftops shaped to catch laughter. Staircases that curved like arms holding people close. He flipped another page. And another, then slowly sat back down. "I don't understand," he said, quieter now. "Why would someone like you?" "Because when you're unseen," Maya answered, "you don't stop dreaming. You just learn to draw in the dark." If Maya's journey moved you even just a little, imagine how many voices like hers go unheard every day. Stories of resilience, unseen talent, and the quiet power of those who dare to dream in silence. We'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and let us know your thoughts or share a time when someone finally saw your worth. And if you believe in stories that uplift, inspire, and challenge the way we see the world, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to BUP Stories, and join us for more powerful moments that matter. Your voice helps these stories reach those who need them most. Gordon stepped forward, voice sharp. "This is nonsense. She's a janitor." "I'm also a licensed architect," Maya said. "Graduated from SCAD in 2004. Designed housing for seniors before I left the field to care for my parents. No one would hire me when I came back. Not at my age, not in my skin." Lawrence looked at her silent. The room was suspended between disbelief and awe. "Every night," Maya continued after the office cleared, "I'd sit at the drafting table in the break room, sketch what I saw missing in your plans, what people like me would want in a community." Gordon was red with frustration. She bypassed protocol. She accessed secure design files. "I didn't," Maya said evenly. "I used what was left in the recycling bin. What nobody valued. Lawrence raised the original sketch. This is what I value. He looked around. If she's not in the presentation next week, I walk. Silence. Sandra's mouth opened, then closed again. Lawrence turned to Maya. What's your name? Maya Williams. He extended a hand. Welcome to the table, Miss Williams. Maya took it firm, certain. In that moment, she was no longer just the woman who mopped the floors. She was the real architect. By the time the meeting adjourned, word had already begun to spread softly like ripples over still water. In offices, break rooms, and elevators, people were whispering the same name with an unfamiliar tone of reverence. Maya Williams, the janitor, the architect. She returned to her cleaning cart with more eyes on her than ever before. Some were filled with awe, some suspicion, a few with open contempt. But Maya had spent years learning how to ignore looks, especially the ones that tried to make her feel small. Today, for the first time in a long time, she didn't feel small at all. As she pushed her cart back toward the utility hallway, someone stopped her. A young man, mid-20s, clipboard in hand, badge swinging from his belt. Miss Williams, he said carefully. She turned. Yes. I just wanted to say that sketch, it was beautiful. I didn't know. I mean, I had no idea. Maya gave him a small smile. That makes two of us. He chuckled awkwardly, then stepped aside. She continued down the corridor, her thoughts loud in the silence. She had no idea what happened next. Lawrence Whitmore had said she'd be in the pitch next week. Did that mean she had a seat at the table now? Did it mean she was reinstated as an architect? Did it mean she'd be fired by noon? As she reached the service elevator, the door slid open and she nearly bumped into Sandra Holloway. They both froze. Sandra's expression was unreadable. Her eyes flicked down to Mia's uniform, then back up to her face. You really should have followed protocol, Sandra said flatly. Maya stood tall. Protocol didn't draw that design. Sandra's lips tightened. You embarrassed the leadership team in front of a billionaire. No, Mia replied gently. I revealed the truth in front of a billionaire. You're the one who felt embarrassed. Sandra stared at her a beat too long. Don't get comfortable, Miss Williams. One moment of applause doesn't make you part of this company's future. Maya didn't answer. She simply stepped past her and entered the elevator. As the doors slid shut, her reflection stared back at her. Tired eyes, calloused hands, a hint of defiance. She remembered who she was. That night, Maya didn't go home right away. She sat in the tiny maintenance lounge at the back of the building, an old metal folding chair, a vending machine humming behind her. She pulled out her sketchbook, flipped past the community center designs, and began a new page. This time it wasn't a building. It was a hand holding a child, lifting, protecting, creating space. She drew until her fingers cramped. Went to her heart, felt still. The next morning when she returned to the building, there was a message waiting for her at the front desk. Miss Williams, Mr. Whitmore would like to meet you privately. Conference room B, 10:30. She arrived 10 minutes early. Inside, Lawrence was already seated, sipping black coffee from a ceramic mug like any other man. No entourage, no assistants, just him, surrounded by the morning sun bleeding through the tall windows. He gestured to the seat across from him. Have a seat, Maya. She sat. I've had some time to think, he began. What you did yesterday took guts. You could have stayed quiet. Let someone else take the credit. But you didn't. I couldn't, she said. Not again. Lawrence nodded slowly. I've built tech empires, negotiated mergers, launched satellites, but I've never seen an architect fight for a sketch like that. It wasn't just a sketch, Maya said. It was the neighborhood I grew up in, the park they paved over, the porch where my grandmother used to rock in the evenings. It was everything they keep calling blight and urban decay, but to me, it was home. Lawrence studied her. You think you can present this at next week's pitch? I know I can. Was about belonging. She paused, scanning the faces before her. There were days when I was told I didn't belong in this profession. That I didn't look like an architect. That my past disqualified my future. But this community looked past all that. You saw the dream in me and I saw it in you. A hush fell over the crowd, broken only by the sound of wind through the flags. Today, Maya continued, we honor those who never gave up. We remember those who are no longer here. And we declare with these open doors that no one is ever too small, too late, or too broken to build something beautiful. Tears shimmered in more than a few eyes. She stepped down and Harold handed her a pair of ceremonial gold-handled scissors. The ribbon fluttered again. With Lorraine beside her and the children holding each end, Nia took a breath and cut. Cheers erupted. The community poured in like a wave. The library filled with laughter. The tech lab buzzed with curious hands. And in the kitchen, Miss Georgia served up her famous catfish and rice while giving life advice to whoever wandered too close. Every corner of the building came alive. Each room echoing with the voices it had been built for. In the recording studio, a teenager named Malik recorded his first spoken-word poem. In the art room, a mother painted alongside her daughter for the first time since high school. In the memory hall, veterans pointed out faces in old photos, telling stories no textbook ever captured. Maya moved quietly through it all, not needing to lead anymore. The space had taken its first breath. It didn't need her to guide it now. It needed her to witness it. Toward late afternoon, as sunlight streamed in low and golden, Maya returned to the library. She stood before the dedication plaque and traced the engraved letters of Jamal's name. She felt a hand on her shoulder. It was Mr. Thompson, an older man from 2 blocks over who had donated every Friday during construction, even when he barely had gas money. Thank you, he said simply. She turned, voice thick. For what? For not forgetting us. Outside, Carlos called everyone together for a group photo. The whole crew gathered on the library steps, volunteers, builders, children, teachers, and city leaders alike. As the shutter clicked, the building behind them stood proud and radiant. Not as a monument to one person's vision, but as the reflection of a community's soul. That evening, after the crowd had gone and the halls grew quiet, Ma sat alone in the atrium. The chairs were empty, the lights dimmed, but the warmth lingered. She pulled out her notebook and jotted down a few words under a drawing of the building. Day 1, they came. They saw. They believed. The real blueprint was always them. She closed the book and smiled. Tomorrow the work would continue. Programs to launch, repairs to maintain, new dreams to design. But tonight, for the first time in a long time, Maya Williams rested not in weariness, but in peace. She had built something that would outlive her, and it was only just beginning. The first week after the grand opening was a whirlwind. Local press praised the Horizon project as a living monument to community brilliance, and national organizations began reaching out for interviews and partnership requests. Maya found herself answering emails late into the night, attending evening panels and fielding phone calls from community leaders in cities she'd never visited. But amidst the rising recognition, something unexpected happened. On a quiet Wednesday evening, just as a group of teenagers wrapped up a coding workshop in the tech lab, the lights flickered. Then they went out entirely. The building plunged into darkness. There was a beat of silence before phones lit up and the murmur of confusion rippled through the rooms. Carlos, who had just finished securing a shipment in the basement, radioed in. Backups not kicking in, generators silent. Maya, flashlight in hand, made her way down the hall. What's the issue? We had that generator tested twice. I don't know, Carlos replied. But I don't like the smell down here. Within minutes, Harold joined them in the basement. He cracked open the utility panel and immediately recoiled. Someone's tampered with this. Tampered? Ava echoed as she joined, wrapping a shawl over her shoulders. Wires cut, Harold muttered deliberately. Clean slice. This wasn't wear and tear. Maya felt a slow heat build behind her sternum. Was it Gordon? Harold shook his head. He wouldn't get his own hands dirty, but maybe someone else. Carlos spoke up. We installed a security camera by the service entrance last month. If someone came in that way, we'll have it on tape. Within the hour, Ava had the footage pulled up on her laptop. There in grainy black and white was a figure in a hooded jacket crouching by the utility panel, snipping wires with alarming precision. The timestamp confirmed it just minutes before the evening workshop began. Maya's jaw tightened. Call Lorraine. I want a police report filed tonight and notify the board we're not sweeping this under the rug. The next morning, headlines shifted. Horizon project targeted in vandalism attempt. While the media buzzed, Maya walked through the building with electricians assessing damages. The generator would need a full replacement. Some computers had shorted. The loss was estimated at nearly $12,000. Lorraine visited the site personally that afternoon. The council's furious, she said. But I'm pushing for an emergency city grant. We'll get you covered. I don't just want it fixed, Mia said. I want the community to know this won't stop us. We built this together and we'll protect it together. And so that Saturday, they held a candlelight gathering on the front steps of Horizon. Families arrived holding lanterns, battery-powered tea lights, even flashlights wrapped in colored cellophane. Children wore glow sticks like necklaces. The building itself remained dark, its silhouette outlined by the soft golden flicker of hundreds gathered together. Maya stepped onto the makeshift stage with no microphone, just her voice. They thought darkness could stop us, she said. But we've lived through darker days, and we don't scare easy. We're not just here to use this space. We're here to defend it, to claim it. Because this, she gestured to the building behind her, is ours, and no amount of sabotage, no fear, no shadow can take it from us. Applause followed. Raw and unfiltered. Volunteers passed out hot cocoa. Miss Georgia handed out slices of cornbread wrapped in napkins. Teens played soft guitar chords while elders shared stories on the steps. That night, no power ran through Horizon's walls, but it was brighter than ever. By Monday morning, electricians had restored the main systems. New cameras were installed. Local contractors, many of them Horizon supporters, offered free upgrades. Even a group of architecture students volunteered to redesign the utility area with additional protections. But perhaps most inspiring was the way the community responded. Donations poured in again. Letters of encouragement flooded Maya's inbox, and a group of high school seniors proposed launching a neighborhood watch rotation to keep an eye on the building after hours. They're protecting their legacy, Carlos said, shaking his head with awe. Ma smiled. It's no longer mine. It's theirs now. As she stood again in the atrium that evening, gazing up at the soft return of the lights, she whispered silently. They tried to pull the plug on us. But they forgot we shine from within. By the following week, Horizon pulsed with activity again. The tech lab buzzed with new monitors. The art studio reopened with donated canvases, and the once sabotaged generator had been replaced with a newer solar-integrated model. But just as the dust settled, Maya received an envelope that would upend everything once more. It came in the morning mail, unmarked except for a single name typed neatly on the front. Maya Williams. Inside was a faded, decades-old blueprint. She unrolled it slowly on the conference table. The paper crackled with age, the ink still crisp, but what caught her eye wasn't the structure. It was the signature at the bottom right corner. J.L. Williams, Jamal, her brother. Maya's breath caught. The drawing wasn't just similar to Horizon. It was a prototype. Cruder, simpler, but undeniably related. A central atrium, multi-purpose wings, community garden layout. It was as if Horizon had been conceived long before she ever sketched her first model. She stared at it, tears welling. Attached was a note handwritten in tight cursive. I found this in a donation box from an old church basement. I thought you might want it. A friend who remembers. Maya called Lorraine immediately. You're not going to believe this, she said, voice trembling. Lorraine arrived within the hour and they studied the blueprint together. This proves Horizon's roots go deeper than anyone knew, Lorraine said. Your brother wasn't just dreaming, he was planning. Maya nodded slowly. I thought I was building this for him, but maybe I was building it with him in spirit the whole time. The discovery sparked something. That afternoon, Maya gathered Ava, Carlos, and Harold in the library. She laid the blueprint on the table. I want to add a new wing, she said. They blinked. A new wing? Ava asked. Maya, we just recovered from the sabotage. We still have programming to launch outreach events. I know, Maya said. But this, she tapped the blueprint, this changes the story. This building wasn't born from just one person. It was born from legacy, from history, from a vision that deserves to be fully realized. Carlos leaned in. What kind of wing? A maker space, Maya said, dedicated to Jamal. A space for kids to sketch, build, 3D print, solder, code. A sanctuary for young minds like his full of ideas needing tools. Harold nodded slowly. A place to honor his blueprint. Ava exhaled. Then we'd better start writing grant proposals. That night, Maya stayed late at Horizon long after the last volunteer had left. She sat alone in the atrium, the original blueprint spread beside her current plans. With a mechanical pencil, she began sketching additions, carefully integrating the new wing into the existing structure. She imagined Jamal sitting beside her, 12 years old, notebook in hand, full of excitement. She could almost hear his voice. Make it look cool, sis, not just useful. She smiled through the ache. By the weekend, the community had caught wind of the blueprint's discovery. News outlets picked up the story. Long-lost drawing by late teen inspires expansion of Horizon project. Donations flowed again, but this time not from distant philanthropists. They came from local carpenters, welders, retired engineers, people who remembered Jamal. People who knew the ache of a dream deferred. A group of teens volunteered to help construct the maker space. Calling themselves Jamal's crew. They wore hand-drawn t-shirts with the slogan, "Blueprints never die." The energy returned, not as a revival, but a rebirth. As construction began on the new wing, Maya kept the original blueprint framed in the library's entrance beside a photo of her and Jamal as children. Visitors stopped to admire it, tracing the pencil lines like scripture. One afternoon, as Maya supervised the new foundation pour, an elderly man approached quietly. He wore a Vietnam veteran's cap and held a leather folder. You Maya? He asked. She nodded. He opened the folder and pulled out a yellowed envelope. I taught Jamal shop class back in '09. Brightest kid I ever met. He gave me this once. Said it was version 2.0. I figured it might belong here now. He handed her the envelope. Inside was another sketch. This time it included a rooftop greenhouse, a wind turbine, and an annotated idea for a mentorship program connecting students to professionals.